Snap-on's own franchise operations manual sets a goal for every tool truck driver on every route in the country. Keep the revolving balances large enough that what the driver collects from you each week covers what he needs to run the truck, per the company's own franchise manual. That's the instruction sitting behind the counter in every Snap-on truck in America. Your balance isn't supposed to reach zero. The company that sells you the ratchet wrote it down. The guy on the truck is told to keep you owing enough that your weekly payment covers his route. If you've ever stood at that metal side door, signed the carbon copy receipt, and watched the number barely move week after week, now you know why. It was built that way. Here's what that system does when it catches a real person. A mechanic named Kevin Inkell told Automotive News he'd been pulling credit lines from all the tool guys. $10,000 at one truck window, $15,000 at another, $8,000 at a third, $33,000 in tool debt across every brand that rolled through his shop. It ended in bankruptcy, and that wasn't one reckless kid or one bad decision. That is what a debt system with no ceiling does at every truck window that parked outside his bay. That same play runs at every truck window in the country, but Snap-on's the one that put the playbook in writing, so start with their version of it. By the end of this, you'll know what the truck really costs on one toolbox and the one box worth buying instead. The revolving account is where most of the damage starts, and it's the part nobody explains when you step on the truck for the first time. The driver extends you credit out of his own pocket. There's no credit check, no disclosure form, and no interest on paper. Per Snap-on's franchise documents, the company recommends a repayment schedule of less than 10 weeks. You buy a ratchet, the driver writes it on a carbon copy receipt, and he expects to collect it in about 10 weekly visits. Sounds manageable. 10 weeks for a ratchet. But step back on that truck the following Tuesday for one more socket, and the 10 weeks start over. Your old balance rolls into the new one. The weekly payment ticks up. And because there's no formal statement mailed to your house, no app, no portal, the only person tracking what you owe is the driver with his clipboard. Every single visit resets the clock. The balance you thought you were paying down just absorbed another purchase, and you're right back where you started. That's the still paying on it feeling every mechanic knows, and the revolving account is where it comes from. This is how guys end up on payments for years on tools they could have paid off in a month. The account has no fixed end date, no payoff schedule, and no final number anyone promises you'll reach. Every payment feeds a running total that grows every time you step on that truck and resets every time you do. And the manual doesn't just allow this. The company's own manual coaches the driver, word for word, that if the customer thinks the payment is always a round number, it gets hard to raise it when the balance grows. So the driver's told to keep it a strange number. That way you won't notice when the payment creeps up because you grab one more bit set on Tuesday. The whole system is set up around a balance that keeps growing, written right into the manual. For the record, Snap-on hasn't responded to these specific claims in public. The driver isn't the villain here, though. He carries 100% of the risk if you default on those tools. Per the franchise disclosure document, Snap-on lends him up to $85,000, interest-free for 9 months, to build customer balances on his truck. The company funds the driver to fund your debt. That's the machine. Snap-on carries zero risk on the revolving account. The driver carries all of it. And you're the one making the payments that keep both of them running. And when a route changes hands, per the franchise disclosure document, the new driver buys the old customer balances at 75 cents on the dollar. Your tab is an asset, traded at a discount between trucks. You didn't agree to that. Nobody asked. You just showed up one Tuesday and a different guy was standing at the truck window, and he already owned what you owe. There's a box that makes all of this look absurd. But first, the math on what happens when you finance the big one. The revolving account handles the weekly stuff, the ratchets, the sockets, the bits you grab every Tuesday. But when you want the big red toolbox, the roll cab that holds everything in your bay, that's too much for the driver's pocket credit. That's when the formal credit application comes out, and that's when the real numbers start. Per Snap-on's SEC filing, the average return on their financing is 17.6%. Mechanics on the forums report contract rates around 18%, and some report rates as high as 30%. Per the same SEC filing, the average contract runs about 4 years. And here's the part that should make you angry. Even on the formal contract, the one with a signature line and a repayment schedule, nobody hands you the number you'll pay over those 4 years. You sign the sticker price. The total stays off the receipt. You know your weekly payment. You know the number on the tag. But the number that matters, what this toolbox will cost you by the time you own it free and clear, that number never makes it onto a single piece of paper the truck gives you. You have to run it yourself, and the truck is counting on the fact that you won't. Nobody does that math standing at a truck window at 7 in the morning with a bay full of cars waiting. So let's do the math the truck won't. A Snap-on KR A2422, the 55-inch roll cab, lists for $6,625 on Snap-on's own website. Finance that at 18% over 4 years, near the SEC filed average, and you'll pay $9,346. $2,721 of that is pure interest, a 41% premium on one toolbox. For the right to pay the truck every week instead of walking in with cash, you're paying almost half the price of the box again, and all of it goes to interest. $6,625 becomes $9,346. The extra $2,700 doesn't buy you a single extra socket. It doesn't improve the tool or extend the warranty. It just disappears into financing charges that the truck never told you were coming. That math isn't theoretical. Real mechanics are living inside those numbers right now, and the BBB has been hearing from them. A mechanic identified as Parate told the BBB in December that he financed a $3,000 toolbox. He paid over $1,000 that year, and his balance never dropped below $9,000. Think about that for a second. A $3,000 box, $1,000 in payments, and the balance on the screen is still $9,000, 3 times what the tool cost, and a full year of payments didn't put a dent in it. Another mechanic filed a complaint with the BBB about a $6,100 credit line he opened in 2012. He made his weekly payments to the dealer for 7 years. By 2019, the balance had grown to $7,800, higher than where it started. The complaint alleges the dealer was pocketing the payments along the way. 7 years of weekly cash handed through the side door of a tool truck, and the balance went up. There was no monthly statement, no running total the mechanic could check from home. The only record was on the driver's clipboard. Then there's the trade-in. A complaint filed with the BBB describes a mechanic who owed $2,200 and left his tools with the dealer for a trade-in estimate. They offered him $1,428 in credit, then told him they'd already sold his tools to other mechanics on the route. His tools were gone before he agreed to anything, traded off the truck shelf to other mechanics, and the guy who owed the money didn't find out until it was already done. A mechanic named Lewis posted on WalletHub that he paid $60 a week for 8 months. His balance went from $5,500 to $5,000. 8 months of payments and the balance moved $500. By his own account, the payment fed the interest and the tool sat still on the ledger. In his own words, interest will kill you. There's a toolbox you can buy for a fraction of all this. But the truck has one more hook in you. Snap-on's lifetime hand tool warranty is real as long as a truck still visits your shop. The way it works is simple. Break a wrench, hand it to the driver, he swaps it. But if the driver quits the route gets sold to another franchisee. Or you change shops, that warranty walks out with him. Per Snap-on's annual report, there are about 3,400 truck routes across the country, and every one of them can change hands. You paid thousands in interest for a guarantee that depends on one guy showing up every Tuesday. If you're still watching, you already know this isn't about one bad driver or one bad deal. Stick with me. This is the channel that reads the contract so you don't have to. Here's the number that tells you what Snap-on is. Per the company's own earnings report, mechanics across the country owe $2.5 billion in Snap-on financing, $2.5 billion in tool debt per their own filing. That's not a tool company with a lending arm. That's a lending operation that happens to sell wrenches. So what do you buy instead? This is the part the truck doesn't want you to hear, and it's the part you came here for. Harbor Freight's Icon 56-inch professional roll cab, $2,499 cash with a lifetime warranty backed by the store. On Harbor Freight's own site, they rate it at 8,000 pounds of capacity and call that more than double a Snap-on, built from 16-gauge double-wall steel. Walk into the store, buy it, wheel it out the front door. No credit application, no weekly visit, no envelope. Now put them side by side on the shop floor. The Snap-on box financed, $9,346. The Icon cash, $2,499. You keep nearly $7,000 and wheel the box out the same day, with no contract and no 4 years of weekly payments feeding interest. The Snap-on costs you almost 4 times what the Icon costs, and the only thing the extra money bought you was the privilege of paying a truck every week for 4 years instead of walking up to a register once. That interest alone, that $2,700 you'd hand the truck on the Snap-on box would buy about 14 complete Tecton socket and ratchet sets at full retail, about $200 a set. 14 sets for the price of the interest on one toolbox. And for the hand tools themselves, you don't need a truck route to get a lifetime warranty anymore. A Tecton 73-piece set runs about $200 with a lifetime warranty. Crack a socket, send them a photo, and they ship a replacement the next business day for free. No receipt needed. Gear Wrench runs the same program. Send a photo, they ship a free replacement in about 3 days, no tool to mail back. None of it needs a truck route or a driver who remembers your name. You own the tool outright. The warranty travels with it. And it works whether or not a truck shows up at your shop next week. No payments. No balance rolling over every Tuesday. Just a tool and a warranty that doesn't depend on somebody else's route. Pay cash. If you need the box, buy the Icon and keep the difference. You knew the truck was bleeding you. You knew it before you clicked on this video. Now you've got the manual that proves it was the plan. Before you sign anything on that truck next Tuesday, ask the driver one question. What's the total I'll pay, in dollars, over the full term of this contract? If he won't put it on paper, you have your answer. If you're the kind of mechanic who reads the contract before he signs it, this is where you belong. There's another tool truck vanishing from driveways right now, and the brand swallowing its routes doesn't want that story told.